Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic:
what impressive skill looks hard but is secretly easy to learn? Lockpicking. I taught my boss the basics in 20 minutes. By the end of the evening he was reliably popping all of my practice locks I'd brought into work. I once got locked out of my house late at night and my landlord was asleep, but my pets were inside and needed to be taken care of. A friend told me he had a lockpicking kit, so I figured what the hell. It took me about 15 to 20 minutes of practicing with the practice lock and then trying on the door, but I got in. Removed. Killing flies with your hands. If a fly lands somewhere, don't try to swat it. Clap just above it and you'll get it almost every time. Fly has to go up before it can go forward, so it goes right into your hands. Similarly, you can catch them with your hand and let them go outside if you don't want fly guts on you. Okay, how do I do the chopsticks thing? Rubik's Cube. There are plenty of tutorials on the internet nowadays. A friend taught me back in 2008-ish, it took about 10 minutes to solve. After a 6-month deployment on a ship I got it down to less than 1 minute. I remember learning from a YouTube tutorial in year 5 and showing my friends at school. Everyone started coming into class with their cubes and it got banned in less than a month. That's so classic, almost every fad in school gets banned after a month. Balloon animals. Took like 2 drunk nights of boredom. Tutorials are quite easy and you remember just like 5 to 6 shapes for people to be impressed by. Rather easy thing to do, lol. Do you get a lot of popping as you learn? I have wanted to try since childhood, but I hate balloons popping. As long as you get decent balloons, then there isn't a massive amount of popping. Just got to make sure you underinflate rather than overinflate while you're still learning. I'm now very popular at my kids' birthday parties and those of their friends. Microsoft Excel. Master the various lookup or pivot table functions, and other office workers view you with a mix of awe and fear. Every job interview I've had has asked about pivot tables. No job I've ever worked has had me use pivot tables. People get so intimidated by pivot tables. I just call them fancy sorting and people relax immediately. The name pivot table is just stupid. When I first started using it I expected something to pivot, but it never did. A favorite work joke: I went into a job interview and they asked me how well I knew Excel. I said I was an intermediate since I don't know VBA and can only do basic macros. They asked, what are macros? I said, I'm an Excel expert. Quote, that's pretty close to how Microsoft scales their training. Beginner, open, read, then close an Excel file without breaking anything. Intermediate, formatting and elementary school math functions. Advanced, any other functions, conditional formatting. Expert, XLOOKUP, pivot tables. These days, typing. Back in my day, we had typing classes in school, so a lot of folks have the skill to understand how to type but not necessarily quickly, or they haven't used it much. There's a lot of online tutorials or courses, as well as practice for typing. I suggest it for anyone wanting to get into administrative type work or for those wanting to do emergency dispatch, my former career. People are always shocked at how fast I type, or when someone is dictating slowly and I tell them they can speak faster they just say, you type so fast. Quote, true. People at work older and younger than me always comment on how fast I type, and I always joke it's 'cause I was raised by the internet. I'm just the exact millennial age where computers and the internet were up and coming in elementary and middle school, so we did basic typing practice and then chat rooms, MSN Messenger emerged and the rest is history, LMAO. It was surprising to me that the younger generation was also impressed, but I guess they were more raised on mobile phones versus tethered to a computer and keyboard. I'm a millennial too, and it blows my mind how bad almost everyone other generation is with computers and typing. I always thought we must have been the only generation with proper IT lessons. But now you mention it, I agree, the internet is probably the biggest reason. Cooking. Too many people think they can't be good cooks and make super delicious meals, but it's actually really easy to learn how to build flavors and use good ingredients to make fantastic meals that will impress anyone. There's also more resources out there than ever to get started. Incredible YouTube channels dedicated to no-frills cooking for newbies. Just learning basic knife skills already puts you ahead of the pack nowadays. I started with a $5 knife and warp pans, but now I've saved enough money to buy myself a real chef's knife and some stainless steel pans. Some friends now think I dream about being a chef, but I just don't want to pay $30 for a burrito, bro. As someone who professionally cooked ages 18 to 30, I'm so glad I learned how. It was fun but not a job for life for me. But, with the rising costs of everything, wow. I can make a $100 plate at home for like $30, lol. A $30 plate for like $10, then there's soups and stews. It hurts me when people say they don't like soup or stew. I almost always convert people. It shocks me how often someone says they've never had a soup like this. Restaurants in my city rush, no love anymore since no skilled chefs, cooks since COVID. And canned soup and stew are horrible, and an insane amount of salt. Walking, I learned it twice. Yes, but have you ever tried to walk twice at the same time? That's how Sir Quick invented running. Basic plumbing. I work with computers and had assumed that there was roughly the same number of components to be aware of and complexity with each part. But a toilet is pretty much just 3 fairly simple things, and if there's something wrong with the toilet, worst case you need to replace one or more of those things. With a 5-minute YouTube video you can probably understand it well enough to fix anything with it. Not to say there isn't complexity with plumbing in general, but if it's not an issue with the pipe coming in, or the pipe going out, it's simple. Shark bite connectors and PEX piping also go a long way in simplifying plumbing. Shark bites are a godsend. I know a lot of the old schoolers don't trust them or like them, but they're supposed to last like 40 years and I won't be in the house when they fail. But I can definitely burn a house down trying to solder copper. Winking face shark bite for the win. I feel like plumbing is both really easy and extremely complicated. Like it makes sense and the parts aren't complicated, but if you fuck something up or don't measure well it's super goddamn annoying. Plumbing is fundamentally easy, the hard part is that making a single tiny mistake can lead to catastrophic damage. It's at least impressive to my fellow Americans, driving a standard transmission vehicle. I learned when I was 17 in less than an hour with my dad's help. And by help I mean he drove his Saab across town, I followed him in my mom's Buick, we swapped cars in a church parking lot and he said, "Hope you make it home for dinner," right before driving off. Once you learn how to get from a stop position into going in first gear, it's super easy. I stalled a good bit in the beginning. My car had first and third super close together. I'd struggle to get started after sitting at a light. Then someone said, "Once you stop, take it out of gear and put it back into first," and suddenly I didn't have the issue anymore. Apparently I'd been trying to go in third gear. Just doing your job. You have no idea how much managers and supervisors fucking love employees who just do the job with no drama. I'm not saying let them walk all over you, but the skill of just being a reliable worker carries a lot of weight and it's an incredibly easy thing to do. I love when my employees complain about being micromanaged. I like to give them as much freedom as possible, but sometimes they make me micromanage them because they just won't do the job. I'm finding myself in a similar position recently. I was taught once, asked a few questions, and then generally could do what I was taught without having someone watching my every move, but I'm starting to realize that some micromanagers are that way for a reason. So accurate. I don't need a team of superstars. I have one and they are a lot of work. It's worth it and they go on to be very successful, which warms my heart. But the team of reliable people that show up and just coast. They make my day. They take care of their stuff and don't need me to tell them how to do their jobs. It's by far my most stable and ultimately successful team. They are steady in a way my really high performers are not. Cracking an egg with one hand. Best to improve while making a recipe with lots of eggs, otherwise, practice is usually limited to 1 or 2 eggs per morning, followed by a whole day of analyzing your shell-filled omelette failure. Edit: a lot of you seem confused what the alternative to cracking an egg with one hand is. While yes, it is cracking an egg with 2 hands, you still crack it with one hand, you just use your other hand when splitting the shell into halves. Also, McDonald's seems to be the leading cause for learning to crack eggs efficiently. Don't let anyone tell you that you're cracking your eggs wrong. Happy egg cracking everyone, except for the guy crushing eggs, shells included, like a monster. I'm the weirdo who finds it much harder to crack an egg with 2 hands. I've always used one. Blew my mind when I found out one-hand cracking is a struggle for most folks. Cracking an egg one-handed was a plot point in a Disney movie, so I gave it a try and fully agree with you. I can fold an origami dragon. Great party trick. I never go to parties. Well, yeah, you get bombarded every time you go, man, I don't blame ya. Heart hands, red heart, tears of joy. Crocheting. When I quit nicotine and Eto all at once, after 15 years of daily use, crochet was my lifesaver. I learned one stitch and began a 9-year-long granny square that saw me through withdrawals, rages, relationship endings, deaths, and a buffet of other triggers. That's genuinely awesome, congrats. And completely believable because crochet requires the attention of every single brain fiber. Counting, tension, counting, tension, counting, wait did I breathe for the last minute, counting, tension, oh look 72 hours have passed. Did I count that last stitch? Stage lighting. If you have friends in bands but you don't play any instruments, but you wish you could still be a part of the band anyway, buy some cheap stage lights and follow them to gigs. Don't focus on making it all flashy and annoying, just get some colors shining from dramatic angles and have colors on either side of the stage that contrast with each other. Good lighting is a staple of major concerts, but it is one of the most overlooked things when it comes to small shows in places like dive bars. If you can make the band look good, all the photos on social media from that night will look amazing, which will really help the band promote itself. For under $500 you can get some RGB bars, some decent light stands and a USB interface to control it all from your laptop. There's plenty of software out there, but I love QLC Plus because it's 100% free and open source, and because it's bare bones enough to be foolishly simple to figure out how to use. Keep your first gig simple, just focus on making it look better than it would have if you weren't there. Any gigging band would be incredibly grateful for you. You can also take it a step further too and essentially be their roadie. You can run lights, mix audio, and be the person who makes sure they always have water bottles when they need them. On a small gig, there's a hell of a lot that one non-performer can do to make the experience as smooth as a major concert that sells out an arena. Anything I can do to keep the performers happy and stress-free is something that will ultimately make the show better for the audience.